Hello, this is Express Man, and well, I like to say there's three kinds of players of Star Citizen: former EVE players, former Elite Dangerous players, and former Space Engineers players, or a combination of the three. Those of us coming from the EVE slice of the pie might remember the best trailer EVE ever made. It's called This Is EVE. 9 years ago, this trailer awed and electrified the EVE community, yet at the same time we knew it was highly cinematized and didn't exactly reflect how the gameplay feels. Let's re-watch this EVE trailer, but do it with Star Citizen and specifically the things we saw at CitizenCon 2024 in mind. Okay, first thing we see is the 7,000 some odd systems. Now, this is actually 7,000 semi-handcrafted systems. Star Citizen has only promised us 100, and we don't think we'll even see that. However, most of us aren't mad because they have so much detail and content and points of interest in every single system. For example, at CitizenCon, they said that Plan A was to have 100 systems with 90 points of interest. Right now, we have one system, the Stanton system, with over 1,000 points of interest, and they're still adding more to Stanton alone. So personally, I really like that the systems feel full in and of themselves. I don't need to have 100 or 7,000. We have a couple of frigates and destroyers rolling in here. These are smaller ships, however, they can be very effective against larger ships the way EVE works.
So hey guys, here's the deal. They got their
We got a cruiser there in the foreground.
Oracle fleet, so we should have some interesting stuff about to happen.
And there is a real capital ship. So that's a Titan, and in EVE, ships generally dwarf Star Citizen in size for every class. A capital ship in Star Citizen is smaller than a cruiser in EVE. But this is an apples and oranges comparison since Star Citizen fully physicalizes the ship with a functional interior. Matching EVE for scale would be both difficult in a technical sense, but I personally think would also degrade the gameplay. You'd spend forever running around these gigantic ships. So I'm happy that the two games diverged kind of on this point.
Let me see. Oh.
So here's a fleet. Fleets are extremely common in EVE since ship management is sort of your entire experience of the game from an external point of view. It was very normal for several hundred of us players to get together several times a day to run fleets. Now there is stealth ships. You can see the little shadowy cloaking on them, and they are coming out of cloak to make an attack run. This is kind of the game. It's still highly cinematized, but it's just about sort of locking up ships, putting your weapon systems on them, setting your speeds or courses, or your orbits rather.
Damps on the damnation. Scepter, stay here and tackle prophecies. This is where we...
Alright, now it's shifting over to other gameplay loops within EVE. This is the exploration loop. So CIG touched on exploration, and this is a sweaty topic for me because I own, I think, every scanning ship there is in Star Citizen, despite there being no special scanning gameplay for them yet. But eventually they'll get to the exploration game loop, and I think it'll look less like it does in the Star Citizen lore in terms of exploring new systems, because we won't really have that. And out of necessity, it'll look a lot more like it does in EVE, which things are discovered or pop up within different systems. Here's mining, which is important in both EVE and Star Citizen. They still haven't put out several of the major ships for Star Citizen that will be involved in mining, but we've got a couple. But it more or less tracks with EVE. It's more challenging of a gameplay loop to do it in Star Citizen, and of course very satisfying to do it in person. I get my yellow steel industrial tuning forks mixed up sometimes when I see the Venture or the Vulture. Actually, having spent hours behind a Venture in EVE, I think it's pretty awesome that you can essentially play one in first person in Star Citizen, so not complaining. Salvage exists in both games, however, it is way different and they don't actually show it in this trailer.
Seller 4.
This CitizenCon, CIG announced blueprints and crafting, including shipbuilding. I have feelings about the implementation they proposed, but realistically it's probably too early to have a real stance on it until we see more. But I think it's really exciting that just as we built ships and ship components in Eve. We'll be able to do that in Star Citizen also.
51 out of 56 grid.
Here's ship fitting in Eve. It is very different in Star Citizen, which I appreciate that fact, so they can be different. That's okay.
On some armor buffer.
Up success.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.
Yay, solving.
So here's what is supposed to be another dramatic moment. Fleet finished whatever their fleet objective was, and they are headed home, only to be surprised, interdicted by an entire enemy fleet. This results in a great battle. You can see the bubble deployed to prevent warping, or there's a bubble that also slows ships within it, which helps weapons hit those ships. Star Citizen doesn't have a direct equivalent, except that the Manus, which has a warp prevention bubble, or quantum jumping as we call it in Star Citizen. I wish Star Citizen had the equivalent of a web, but I'd probably retract that wish if I played fighters more, because it would be very hard on them. Something really important that this trailer glosses over is time dilation. When a bunch of ships get together in one place and particularly start fighting each other, that puts an immense strain on the server. Eve solves this by slowing down time. So it's still one server processing however many ships and all of that, but it slows down a lot. There are battles that would have happened in minutes that take hours or even days because of time dilation. Now, it's not the worst solution. The servers don't crash, the fights do get done, but it is not the best gameplay experience. Star Citizen, on the other hand, is trying to be really the first game studio ever to have true dynamic server meshing, which means that as these servers start to experience load, they can actually spin up and split into two servers to balance that load, and those can further split again as many times as needed to keep things stable and operational. CIG has even said that a large capital ship may more or less have a server dedicated to it in the background. And this all just happens smoothly and organically without any sort of stuttering. And we have yet to see that in action, but they are making progress right now with static server meshing, so dynamic server meshing is just a matter of time. That is a huge step in the right direction for this feel that we see here of this live action fleet combat experience. So there you have it. My big takeaway from this trailer is that Eve was and is a great game, but never fully hit the feeling that this trailer conveys. I think there's a real chance that Star Citizen will, but it's all hopium and copium until it does. Time will tell. But maybe, just maybe, we will experience what we see and feel in this trailer in the verse. What do you think? Hey space friends, if you are looking to breathe that hopium and copium with others, I invite you to check out Shadow Brokers. We have more whales than SeaWorld. We are a casual, lawfully neutral org focused on resource and transport in the most hostile and inhospitable places. If that excites you in any way, come check us out.